Welcome to another edition of KBS Open Mic. Pretty special one today, guys. We got a really, really good guest. But before I get to our amazing guest, I would like to read some definitions of words just to clarify things for people. I got 3 words that I want to define, and these are just words that came from the dictionary. They're not like etymology or anything like that. So here, the first word we're going to do is tribe. And there's my 6 favorite meanings. There's actually more than 6 meanings of this word, but here are my favorite 6. And this will all tie in, trust me. So bear with me. A tribe is any aggregate of people united by ties of descent from a common ancestor, a community of customs and traditions, or adherence to the same leaders. Number 2, a local division of Aboriginal people. Number 3, a division of some other people or nation. Number 4, a company, group, or number of people. Number 5, a group of class of people with strong common traits, values, or interests. And my favorite one is number 6, a large family. So from there, we're going to go to a word that's called kindred. And the 3 definitions of the word kindred are, you'll see, very, very similar. So as a noun, a person, person's relatives connectively, kinfolk or kin, a group of persons related to another family, tribe, or clan. See the similarities we're building up here. A relationship of birth or descent, or sometimes by marriage and kinship. And the final word that I want to bring up, and this is because I find some similarities in this word that, I don't know, it doesn't mean the same thing, but it sort of gives the same meanings. And that word is totem, a natural object or animate being, as an animal or bird, assumed as the emblem of a clan, family, there's that word again, or group. An object of natural phenomenon, which a family or sib, I guess that's short for sibling, considers itself closely related. A representation of such an object serving as the distinctive mark of a clan or group. Anything serving as a distinctive, often venerated emblem or symbol. So, with those 3 words being clearly defined, I would like to invite one of my very good friends who I've never met, who I haven't known for a very long time, but I feel like I've known for almost ever. I think she might be an older soul than me. Welcome, Luna. How are you doing?
G'day.
Good daisy.
How is everyone?
We got a pretty good turnout tonight.
We have. Hello, everyone. Wow, what a way to open the show, Polly.
Well, okay, because I went back and I watched that show again with the 4 of you and Kev Baker, and I remember having a ton of questions, and I was typing them sometimes frantically into the chat room to try to, get somebody's attention. But there's, so many things you guys were talking about on that show that it's funny because near the end of the show, I think Jess said that it actually brought up more questions than answers, or even Kev maybe had said that. And so hopefully we could get to some of those questions, and hopefully I have read the ether correctly and picked the best questions that I hope other people will want to know too. So yeah, here we go. First of all, it's great to talk to you again. I remember talking to you once before this on Discord, and I think we went for almost 2 hours just shooting the shit.
Yeah, that was easy.
Right? We should have just recorded that and put that on for the show.
Yeah, right. That's what I said. Intuition's always the best way to go.
So I've always felt okay. The first thing I want to talk to you about is dreams, because every time you start talking about dreams, I always have a ton of questions. Me personally, I feel like I have a more analytical view of dreams than your average Joe. I think they mean things. I think that maybe there's possibilities that they don't always need to mean things, but they're just showing you other possibilities or other, maybe even memories of past lives and stuff like that. And the reason that I want to talk about dreams and intuition and things like that, first off, is because there was a really, really strange synchronicity. I've been having a lot of synchronicities lately, and I think you'll be able to relate to this. On Tuesday, I released a video called Luna on my YouTube channel, and I dedicated it to you because your name's Luna, and Luna means moon, and the majority, in fact, all of the footage in the movie is of the moon. What I didn't know and had no possible way of knowing was that last Tuesday was your birthday.
Shame. Yes, it was. It was my 55th winter.
How did I know that it was your birthday?
I don't know. Obviously, you plugged into the connection up there, and you just knew. Your spirit knew. I was surprised. It was a lovely thing. It made my day.
Well, you're welcome. How do you think stuff like that happens?
Okay. Well, basically, everyone knows we're all connected on many levels. And when I talk about levels, it's more like a spiral that moves upwards. And as you walk that spiral, you go up and you become more full of light, I suppose. So those connections, if you can imagine, how can we put it? We've got the internet, and it's all connected invisibly in the sky, and we can all talk to each other over this computer. Well, spiritually, we've got like an internet too, but it's all our spirits connected up there, and you can tap into that just like you do when you sit down and turn your computer on. A lot of the time we're not conscious of the connections until something physical comes into our life and we realise, oh man, there's a connection there. If you're clever, you can feel it before it happens. And there can be great, wondrous works done on that level.
Totally agreed. You mentioned the word clever. I think clever might mean something subtly different in Australia than it means to me, because to me clever just means kind of like able to figure things out, like with their hands or with machines or with concepts, but we're talking about something that, because think about all the other people in the world. Why? How is? Because I didn't do this on purpose, so I'm wondering if there's something guiding me to sort of nudge me into saying, okay, you know what? You don't need to know this yet, but it's Luna's birthday, so put out this video now, because it was almost done already, anyways. And I just wanted to kind of just keep the sort of momentum going for what I've been doing lately. And so how come some people can pick up on that and some people can't? Like, what do you think are the things that are holding people back? Do you think it's just a lack of belief, or just like some people are just more of an antenna?
Well, a few things. Basically, some people are born more aware than others. And whatever happens before we come, that takes away our memory, hasn't worked properly. So when they get here, they still remember stuff and they remember what they are capable of. A lot of, when you're born, this society is designed to wipe it out right from the moment of when you're little up until, I don't know, about 4 or 5, 6. We all have, you hear kids talk about imaginary friends. There's spirits that they're seeing, but we tend to tell them that it's not real. Anything they tell us, oh, I saw something in the sky, or I saw a fairy in the yard, whatever, we as adults say, oh, no, that's not real. We just laugh at them and go, that's just children. The truth is that purity that they have, they're naturally connected, and we're the ones that knock it out of them. The system knocks it out. If you're lucky enough to have people around you, like either in a tribal way or you're born into a family that is connected, you have a head start there. But even as you approach adulthood, if you go through school and university and that will dampen it and knock it out.
Another thing about that I wanted to ask was Do you think that that it's like a bloodline sort of thing that allows people to be born more awake than others, or more aware, or more sensitive, or do you think that it is? I had this theory that it's the people that are born more awake maybe have already lived a lot more lives than other people.
Yeah, that comes into consideration too, because I've met people that this is their first time in this realm and they got no idea how to cope with it. Then I've met people, this is their 10th time in this realm. It's an individual's pathway thing, how often you come here.
How many times do you think you've been here?
About 10. I do remember periods where how the time difference here and in the spirit world is different. I remember waiting in spirit world for a long time and coming back, and when I got back here it was like, oh my God, what happened? This isn't how I remember it. On many levels. And I've met other people that feel the same and they feel that this isn't really their home.
Well,
I've met people.
you've met another one today, because I've always felt like I've never really belonged here. I always tell people that I got off at the wrong stop, and
Yeah, yeah.
this is my last time here. So whatever I need to do here, I need to do it this time.
Oh, yes, it's the
I'm not
last
coming
one
back.
for a lot of us, brother. It's been a culmination of many, many things for many, many years, and the spirit people that remember those times, we're all gathering together now. There are a lot of newbies, what I call newbies here, and I'm not sure what their role will be when we go, perhaps to the new caretakers. I'm not sure.
Do you think we come back here on purpose so many times, or do you think that we come back here because we've sort of, I guess, failed to do what we were supposed to do when we were first put here?
Oh, I think that's a mixed bag there. Um, I think some people are asked to come back for certain reasons. Others have to finish what they started. And I think there are others that were like, how can I put it in a nice way, pushed here without their total consent.
Like, do you think that are you trying to say, like, in a polite way, that it's some sort of punishment?
No, not really. I think there's a bit of a trick going on there. And if you're not aware of the trick, you'll just go into the flow of the river and just keep coming back. There's one thing about this realm: if you want to really participate, you have to be born here. So even the spirit people, like, they can only participate to a certain point. If you want to be in this game, you got to have a body.
Cool.
So
I've never really considered that from that specific angle. That's a good thing to. I'm gonna have to ponder that later. I have to go back and listen to the show already.
Well, it's morning here, so I'm all clear-headed. Look out. So you got to have a body to enter this realm. So you can be. It doesn't matter what's in that body. You can be a really, really old spirit. You can be a new one. You can be any
Animal? Do you think you
yes,
could be an animal or a bird,
yes,
or yeah?
yes. I'll tell you a quick story.
Yeah.
On my travels to Uluru, we stopped at a place called Cooperpedy, and I had spiritual business to do there before we continued. And we were kind of in a hurry. We were on a bit of a schedule, and we tried to leave, and one of the tyres blew up, so we had to go back and get it fixed. While we're getting it fixed, the whole time we were there was this black dog following the local mob, and I watched it for days. And on this particular last day, it was by itself. So in my head, I said to the dog, "You're an old fella in a dog's body looking after the mob. I know you are. And if you are, you'll hear me and you'll come over and acknowledge me, because I'm about to get out of here. I'm leaving." Anyway, that dog just stopped in its tracks, turned around, walked up to me, looked at me, and sort of went, huh. And I smiled at it and said, "Thank you." And it turned around and walked off. So that old fella in the dog's body acknowledged me. So that's what he was, an old fella in a dog's body looking after the mob. That's shocking for everyone. That's normal for us here.
That's
I think
amazing, though. You
I
brought
might
up
have.
you brought up Uluru already. I wasn't planning on talking about this till later, but we might as well because I have one of those questions. I'm pretty sure it's maybe been asked to you before about the Uluru thing. You've heard of like the ancient like giant tree theory.
Oh, Uluru, yeah.
Yeah, and I've heard the meteorite theory as well. Um, uh, but I don't know. There's just something about the tree theory because have you heard of the story of the tree of life?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe that could be the tree of life stump.
Well, all I can say, Polly, is I've been there, I felt it. I laid on her and cried because it felt like that's a part of home. That's
Yeah,
all I can say. It
is
feels
it?
like it's a part of home.
How do you think that a geological monument or it's maybe not it's kind of a monument, I guess. How do you think that like it's basically Mother Earth? I mean, it's not even a man-made structure, right? So it's just like if it's communicating with you, then like what's communicating with you? Is it Mother Earth or is it something else? Something that Mother Earth can use as a conduit?
Um, Man, fire the hard questions at me. um, oh, well, I'll say it has to be part of her. It is a part of her now. Whatever it was, it is part of her now. I don't tend to ask questions like that. When I went there, I didn't ask about who, what, or why. I just accepted what it was and went with the flow. But it is part of her. But the thing is, I was talking to Brother Donny the other day, and if you go on Google satellite thing and look around Uluru, you'll see other rocks like her, him, because there's a male and a female. You know how we always got a male and female of everything? Around that rock are other ones, and the male and female also. So there's more to the story. We've only touched the iceberg, and
Maybe that is the tip of the iceberg.
yes,
The rock itself is the
it
tip.
is. Yes, because there's more to it. Everyone knows that.
It's good that you said the male and female thing, because that relates something into something that I'm really interested in, which is alchemy, which is not nearly as old as obviously any of the culture or the rock itself. But one of the seven principles of that alchemy is the same concept, the male and the female, the duality. And that transcends over many ancient cultures, which I find fascinating. There's a lot of cultural similarities between Aboriginal Australians and Native Americans. And I mean, even like in the Far East, there's similarities as well. And I find that sort of fascinating because uh, where is all the same information coming from if we're supposedly being separated by oceans, right?
Well, yes, we're all sisters and brothers. Um, the information isn't bound by anything like that. Information's like telepathy, it's an energy that can, it's an energy. So it's not bound by anything. And if you take all the water away, brother, we all live in the same country, eh?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Good thing we're not that thirsty.
So you got to remember too that we've all been here for a long time, most of us, and it's like saying, oh, the conversation we had 5 weeks ago at Jack's house. Someone will be in your house and start talking about it, and you go, oh, we had that conversation at Jack's house 5 weeks ago. So the energy of that conversation is still alive. Same as in the past, all our ancestors, all of us, their words are still alive. They're still with us. If they're not born again, they're in spirit helping us out, all our ancestors. And I encourage people, find out who your ancestors are. Look into your own history. Find your own connection, because that's where your strength lies. We're all tribal, like You go back far enough, we're all tribal.
I was just gonna say, if everybody goes back far enough, we'll probably end up being relatives at some point.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I do see differences in different mobs. Like you've heard the white fella thinking, right? That is so different to many of us, even other white fellas. Do you know what I mean? So that thinking on its own, wherever that come and what peoples that come from is different to most of us. So we do have different mobs.
Uh,
Um,
you said something about like if you take away all the oceans, we're all on the same continent, and that
yeah,
actually ties into another thing that I wanted to ask you about because I've only heard this like recently. Is that there's old maps of Sydney Harbor with no water in it.
yeah, yeah. We were talking about the water on Kev's show. That yeah, that water's come and gone, come and gone, come and gone over the cycles of the earth, and it's coming back. We all know the water's coming back, and it doesn't happen overnight. It happens right under your nose. It's been happening the whole time.
Okay,
Um,
hold. I just need to clarify something, just for
yeah,
sorry to be a little bit selfish here, for my own
uh,
benefit. You're saying that Sydney Harbor was continuously in a cycle, or still is, of filling and draining?
yeah. All of Australia is because we had an inland sea. Remember that actually split us into 2 or 3 pieces.
Huh.
And then when that water disappeared, we were one whole piece again.
But why does it keep going away and coming back? What
Oh,
causes that?
Polly. Well, that's what I wanted to know when they were talking about the water rising and finding campsites under the water. I thought, wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I can see that. But then I went, hang on a minute. How does the water drain and come back in if everywhere else is flooded? So there's a bit of a mystery there to look into, which I will.
I have a theory that
Yeah, go.
that maybe it's not necessarily that the water's coming and going, but the land is breathing like a
Yeah,
lung. Like if you picture
yeah,
like somebody breathing, their stomach goes up and down or their chest goes up and down. Maybe
yeah.
that's something like that.
I've seen her breathe, Polly.
But
I've
yeah.
seen her breathe. I've seen her do many things. It's like, whoa, I'm glad she's my friend.
I have a feeling you've seen a lot of things that most people haven't. And I wanted to ask you one of the similarities that I've noticed between all the older ancient cultures, which is what I'm going to refer to from now on as like basically the native or aboriginals of anywhere in the world, the
Yeah,
oldest people, the oldest culture. There is only one contradiction to what I'm about to say, and that is that hair, like human hair, like the
yeah,
hair on your head or anywhere,
body hair, yeah,
um, it is like an amplification sort of thing for the antenna that can allow you to speak with the creator or the source or spirits or the earth, except for there's only one, but that's not important. I want to know what your thoughts are on the whole relationship with hair and the possibility of having like basically I mean, almost like an ESP sort of.
yep, yep, yeah, you're spot on there, Polly. Hair is really important. It is the antenna. Also, you can look at us like the mother's hair.
Right.
We stick we stick out of the earth, and we're like little antennas of the mother, and our hair does the same for us.
So do you think this is maybe sort of something that's maybe more feminine thing? Because on a personal level, whenever I've cut my hair or shaved my head or like anything sort of along those lines, I almost feel like I'm sort of shaving off a bit of the past that I was holding on to in a way. I don't know if I'm explaining that properly, but
No, I
whenever
understand. I understand what you're saying. I heard you say that the other day, and I thought, well, you're right there, Polly, because even though um, I cut my own hair, I always have, and I do cut it and when I trim all the split ends and dead ends off, that's exactly what I feel like I'm doing to myself. As I go through a cycle, I'll come out of that cycle. I'll trim my hair and I'll get rid of all them dead split ends, and it represents all the stuff that I was carrying around that I don't want. that belong to other people is that no use to me now.
Yeah, and there's this sort of like almost natural inherent difference between the way that men and women view their hair, except when it comes to these ancient tribes or ancestors or peoples. Um, I,
Well, now, Bob, now, Bob, I'll tell you something, ladies.
well, obviously, I'm asking you because you appear to have very long hair.
Yeah, I always have since I was little. Oh, Mum cut it once, but I've always had long hair, and all our kids. Even my husband's got long hair. We've all got long hair. The kids have grown up and cut it, obviously, because it's a trend. But some of them have still got long hair. In our culture, by the way, old women, when they get chin hair, that's that's a really respectful thing. If a woman has chin hair, that's like she's grown wisdom and she gets extra respect. If you understand that, you can understand that.
Yeah, I can understand that. I can totally understand that.
So
I totally didn't know that either.
yeah, a lot of people don't. You'll see some Aboriginal women, and you probably go, "Yeah, she's got a bit of a beard there," you know. But to us, that's actually a respected thing. So
Yeah, but I think it's probably because you guys don't attach that sort of a trait to physical beauty. It's more like a kind of like a badge of honor almost, or like
yeah,
a
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, we're pretty chilled when it comes to beautifying. Like, don't get me wrong, we got the young girls and all that. They still do their nails, get their hair done. Some of the older women do, but us cultural ones, we're just plain Janes. We are what you see is what you get. They don't even. I want to dye my hair because I've got heaps of grey hair, right? And every time I go to dye, all the aunties like, no, don't do it because it's it's a thing of respect and wisdom.
It's
Um,
distinguishing.
yeah, one of my friends, she's not even 50 yet. She's already. She looks like Storm. She's all white, and we're like, stop dyeing your hair because she's at that age where she deserves the respect for the wisdom she has. And if she stops dyeing her hair, all our mob will automatically give it to her. But while she's dyeing her hair, it's like she's pretending to cover it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's what she's doing. Yeah. But yeah, we don't have the same as normal people as far as beauty goes. We can don't get me wrong, we can get dressed up and flashed. We call it flashed up. Flash means, all, all done up. We can do that, but in our general life, it's not what we see as respectful, a mark of respect. So natural way is best.
Yeah, it would seem to me that the ancient cultures had less of an emphasis on tactile visual beauty and more emphasis on the spiritual meaning and the
Yeah,
spiritual beauty of
yeah,
everything, not just people and women and men, but everything.
yeah, yeah.
I really wish we could go back to that kind of mentality.
Oh, look, King Sweet just put something up. That's funny. Yeah, I got a review. Oh no, don't start laughing.
That's the dog's breakfast.
Yeah, so yeah, hair's really important. If I took some of your hair, it'd still retain your energy and have your energy signature in it.
Well, the thing that contradicts it is the monks, right? The Tibetan monks, they don't have any hair at all.
They shave their hair off. Yeah, I know. Oh well, each to their own. Like I said before, if you do what works for you. I'm sure if I was born in Tibet around the monks, I would have been brought up as a monk.
Yeah, I just always like to look for the paradoxes from
Yeah,
everything.
I know. There's a lot in this world.
Because both end results are the same thing. Like
Same
the
thing.
end result is that you become closer to the source and have a more readily available communication pathway with the spirit world.
Yeah, I remember.
So
Sorry, when I
yeah,
was a
go
young
ahead.
girl, I met a woman, and she shaved her hair off. And back then, it wasn't the end thing for a woman to do. But I do remember her facial expressions, and she was standing there going, oh my God, I can feel the wind on my scalp. And I saw her connect somehow, but without the hair. I watched it. So it was a beautiful thing because she was touching her hair and she could feel things she never felt before. So, yeah, there must be another connection there. I don't want to shave my hair off to find out.
Yeah, yeah, it takes a while to grow back. When you're already balding, it's a lot easier.
Yeah, when you're getting older, so it grows slower.
So I also wanted to ask you, because I don't think you've ever talked about this before, and I know you probably get asked a lot about this as well, or maybe you haven't. I feel like it's an older concept. I was exposed to it back in the 80s. But it's this thing called the walkabout. And
Oh, walkabout, yeah. Oh, man, I felt like going the other day.
I'm obsessed with walking. Like, walking is my form of meditation. So when I first heard about this walkabout concept, I almost like lost my stuff. So can you explain to people what a walkabout is if nobody knows what they are? Because
Okay, so walkabout. It's not, it's walking involved, yeah, but it's not all about walking. It's more about, this is the best way for me to explain it, because yes, not yesterday, the day before, I actually said to my husband, I need to go walkabout, I need to get away. And what it just means is actually that get away, get out on your own, surround yourself by nature, obviously beautiful stuff, and just stay there until you feel okay again. We have a problem in Australia. Most of the blackfellas that work, they can only work in a certain place for a certain time. And as the pressure gets on, they take off. And that taken off is called walkabout. And it's 20th century version. They'll take off and go back home into their town, country town, for a month or two or whatever, and then turn up at work thinking they've got their job still, because to us it's natural. Sometimes you have, if you work at a place that is sensitive to our people, they'll hold their job and ask you what's going on, and you tell them and they're like, yeah, fine. But other places don't understand, they'll just sack you. So we just go from one job to another virtually when that happens. The women do it too, and sometimes they get Arnie or whatever to look after the kids just so they can get away for a few weeks and centre themselves and get their mojo back. It could be a spiritual thing too, where you need to get away so you can hear better, and you need that silence and beauty around you. Yeah, even back in the old day, tribal day, you just take off from the mob. Everyone back then, they knew that you needed to get away because they were all tuned in better. Now you virtually, they watch you fall apart a bit, and then you go, I need to get away, and they're like, yeah, see you later. Go to Arnie's or go here or wherever you need to go. Most people just go bush for a little while.
Were any adolescents or even younger encouraged to go on walkabouts?
Not really. What happens there, they just go to their cousin's house or go and stay at someone else's house for a little while.
Right, so just a change of environment.
Yeah, just a change of environment because they're young.
I can totally relate to that, because I go on those almost every day, because the construction around here is absolutely nuts at the moment, and fortunately enough, there is somewhere quiet to go, and I go there all the time, and I don't leave until I'm ready to leave.
Yep.
I've heard walkabouts lasting for like a really long time. What's the longest one you've ever heard of?
Years. Some people are gone for a couple of years. Mostly fellas. Yeah, the fellas they will take off and go deep out. The men, us women tend to
I can't imagine what you would learn about yourself with like years of solitude, having nothing but whatever you're carrying in your bag or rucket, whatever it's called. And like, for one, it's impressive that you live that long. Like, out there in the wilderness, right? Like, it's a dry area. It's not a lot of resources.
Actually, my brother, he's been to America and that a few times. He brought some photos back, and I'm looking at the water that you got over there, and I'm like, wow, look at all the water. look at the amount, like the size of the bodies of waters that you have over in Europe is amazing. And it wasn't until then that I actually realised I live in a dry country. Because up until then I thought, yeah, there's plenty of water around here.
Well, that brings me to my next question, and that is, what do you know of underground water?
Oh, our secret under sacred water.
It's
Yeah.
okay. It's too secret. I knew it. Okay,
No, no, yeah, it is a kind of secret.
we don't need to talk about
Nowadays,
it.
with all the mining and that's going on, and they're tapping into that source, so I think they already know
No.
that's fringing on the edges of the overlords.
Totally. Yeah, we can't let them find the water. But just so everybody knows, it's not all dry land. It's just there. Just can't find it. You're never gonna find it, so don't look.
Yeah, and that beautiful country here. If you need water, you can call it. Like this place is so in tune.
Are you talking about weather manipulation?
Well, kind of. We don't
Yeah.
manipulate. If you manipulate anything, that's putting your energy over it and controlling it, and that's not right.
Well, okay, I should rephrase it. Requesting it, like a rain dance.
Yeah, it's a union. It's like, hey, we need rain. Do you want to help? And if the rain goes, yeah, we're coming, or it'll go, no, I'm not ready yet.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can't. You can't argue with it.
No, you can't. And that's why I'm sitting here laughing, watching the world move, and realizing no matter what the overlords try, the mother and the father is going to override them at any time. So it's like we can all sit back and laugh at them. Actually,
Well, that's a happy thought.
it is.
Yeah. Okay. There's at least two more things that I want to ask you that are dear to my heart. The first one is I'm interested in the use of plants as medicine in your culture, because you guys have so many different plants that we can't get up here. And I think that there's maybe a few other people in here that might be interested in that as well, hopefully.
Okay, yeah, basically all food is medicine. That's why you should eat healthy.
That's brilliant.
All food is medicine. So we have lots of medicines. We actually have medicine places. So we'll go back in a trip back in time. You're walking through the bush, someone's sick, you need a certain plant, and if it's not readily available, it will only grow in certain places. You'll find that those certain places is nobody lives there, and it's a special place, and there's usually a spirit residing over that area. Nowadays, they just build houses flat out. So a lot of our medicines have actually got houses on top of them now. Especially where I live in Sydney, New South Wales, we were ground zero, they call us. So a lot of our traditional stuff is been built upon or mowed over. But out from that, if you go further out, there is still some stuff. Man, we even had a fish when you were depressed. There was a certain fish that you'd eat to help you with depression.
Was it the John Dory?
I'm not sure what it was. I just know we had it. I haven't got all the answers, Polly.
No, actually, the only reason why I said the John Dory is because I was looking up some Australian sayings, and they said you should say, "What's the John Dory?"
Oh, right.
No, apparently that means like what's happening or something.
Yeah, what's the story, John Dory?
Yeah.
Yeah, we either make it rhyme or be opposite. So you get someone with red hair and we'll call them blue.
An extension to that question, is there, or do you know of any usage of any sort of like mushrooms that grow in Australia?
Oh, magic mushrooms.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm talking about. Magic mushrooms used in a lot of ancient cultures, and I'm just wondering if they're used the same way in your ancient culture as they are in the other three that I know of.
Yeah, the men. There's a particular mushroom. It looks like the Smurf mushroom that's red with white dots.
Yeah, it's called the Amanita muscaria.
Yeah, the men do stuff with that.
Do you have to have like permission or some sort of certain rights to be able to do stuff like that, or can people just
Um,
do it?
well, traditionally, yeah, it all would have been done properly. I don't know about nowadays. They probably, you know, what people are like. They probably
Yeah,
just go out and try it out. But you got to be careful with the stuff here. Sometimes certain things have to be prepared a certain way for them to be okay to take. I don't know if you've heard the story about the three white fellas that went over the Blue Mountains.
please
Um,
tell.
oh, I can't remember their names. Anyway, these fellas, they were the first white fellas to come out. They went over the Blue Mountains. They headed on into the desert, and they were dying of thirst. And they saw us prepare a plant and eat it, and it stopped dehydration. And our mob said to them, "Come with us and we'll look after you." But because they were on a journey of conquering, they went no. And then they realised, shit, we're dying of thirst. Oh, maybe we should eat the plant that they ate. But what they didn't do is watch how it was made, and it actually made them dehydrate more, and they ended up dying.
Wow.
Yeah, so a lot of our stuff, it's got to be prepared in the right way, otherwise it'll kill you. So it could be medicine, but if you don't prepare it right, it'll kill you.
When you say prepared the right way, do you mean like physically and like
Yeah.
methodically, or do you mean like ceremonially, or both?
Um, Both, yeah, mostly physically. Um, we got in down south. There's a grinding stone. You know what a grinding stone is? A big flat stone that we grind seeds on to make flour.
Yep.
Right, that's a grinding stone. Down south, the grinding stones. Everyone knows that the right side is for flour and the left side is for um, hallucinogenic tobacco.
Hmm. That's fascinating to me.
And it's on the same grinding stone, so even the kids know don't grind flour on that side of the stone. So psychedelic things and that's a part of all tribal people's nature. I think that's our doorway to a greater connection.
I totally agree with that. I think that's probably why I've had a strange affinity for psychedelics my whole entire life. Well,
Yeah.
adult life, I should say. I mean, who knows? Maybe my parents did them when I was young. But you mentioned something about stones there as well, and this was something I think you guys briefly touched on when you were at KBS. Um, what you didn't mention was crystals. And I'm wondering if, because I know that Australia is kind of a big, huge lunchbox full of crystals
Yep.
that you can't find anywhere else in the world. And they're hard to get to. So I would understand why maybe Aboriginal people couldn't get to them. But I have a strange feeling that they might have a connection with crystals. They might use them as tools or stuff like that. And I'm hoping you'll be able to verify that for me.
Okay. Yes, we do use crystals in many spiritual ways. The thing here, though, we don't dig in the earth, so we won't dig to get a crystal. If it comes up out, she'll bring it up onto the top of the earth for us, and we'll
Hmm.
pick it up. So if
I
you,
love that idea. That way, it's more of a gift from mother than.
yeah, exactly, yeah. And if you got a rock, if say you found something on the ground, you go to pick it up and it won't come out, you don't take it. If you go to pick it up and it like falls out of the ground into your hands, that means it's yours. If it's stuck there and you have to dig it out, you don't take it because the mother's hanging on to it, going, "No, it's not yours. You can't have it."
Okay, I will never do that again.
I'm sure you'll be forgiven.
It makes perfect sense though. She's holding on to it. It's like, no, it's not ready yet. Leave it alone.
Yeah, yeah. If it's meant for you, it'll be pushed up onto the earth, easily accessible. So the sad thing in 20th century, a lot of our fellas are forced to go and work in the mines because of lack of work, and they have to work in the mines and go into the earth and take. You know, it's a sad thing because their spirits would be balking the whole way. But that's
Yeah.
life.
So, do you think that like does it work like if you take a rock that wasn't meant to be pulled out of the earth, if you does that have like now a negative energy attached to it?
Oh, you can get in big, big shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you take a rock you're not supposed to, really, a lot of bad things can happen.
That
And the best advice is take that rock back. If
I would advise everybody listening right now to take that with, like, seriously, a really huge consideration, because it would explain a lot of things that's happened to me over my entire life. So stop taking rocks out of the ground.
unless you're meant to have them, and they'll be on the ground there. And you can tell it's really easy for me. It is. I'm walking along, and everything has a voice. This is how I walk around in life. I'll look at a tree, it's got a voice. I'll hear the voice of that tree. If you look at a rock, it's got a voice, so I'll hear that voice. So I'm walking along and I'll hear a little rock go, "Hello, it's me, it's me, it's me." And I'll be thinking, where's that coming from? And I'll look down, I'll see this little rock, it'll be like jumping up and down because it wants me to take it. Or it'll be going, "Look at me, aren't I wonderful? This is what I've got to say, but you have to leave me here."
That's amazing that you can hear that. I can kind of relate to that a little bit. I see things that way, but I don't, like, physically audibly hear anything, unless what you're saying is a bit
It's
metaphorical
like,
in the sense that it's just like something draw you to look there, or drew you to look there, and you can't explain what it was. It was almost like you heard a voice.
yeah, this goes back to a feeling has a sound, like, you know what I mean? This is where our
Oh, we're
senses,
talking my language now. Yeah.
where our senses, and each person works different. Because I know some of us are more vivid and colourful, some of us are more analytical. It depends on how you are to how you perceive it. So some people will be walking along and hear a distinct voice. Some people will feel something and hear the voice from that feeling. Some people um, will like get a flash in their mind and they'll stop and go, "What was that?" You know what I mean? It's different for everyone, but it's still that thing, the same thing talking to you. And what spirit world does is talk to you in the way you know best. So if you, for instance, like you, Polly, you love nature and stuff, so Creator and Mother will talk to you through nature because that's your language.
Yeah,
And
she definitely has.
you might be, I don't know, it's different for everyone. You might work with clay or something, and you walk out. When you walk out on the land, it's the dirt that speaks to you most because you're a clay worker, and it will talk to you that way. You might be a bird person, and it'll come through the bird. Everyone's different, and I say to people, find out who you are that way. How do you receive? What's the way you receive? Some people don't hear; they see things. Some people feel things. Like everyone's different. Some people do all the above. Um, you got to find out. And the only way to do that is go out, sit down, be quiet, and feel, hear, listen, and see what comes in and how you're receiving it.
Would
Some
you say
people write
that
it down.
would you say that would be a good way for somebody to find their totem?
Um, Kinda. A totem is a deeper, different thing. Um, in the old days, you're in nature 24/7, so totems were always around you. These days, if your totem's a bear, unless you live out somewhere where the bears can come in your back door, it's going to be hard for them to connect with you. You know what I mean? Unless you go to the zoo a lot and look at the bear and go, "There's something about this bear."
Right, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's because there's been a lot of disconnection. We're trying to reconnect. We're trying to sew back up what was ripped. So you got to take what you can get. So you might get pictures of bears all the time. You know what I mean? You'll always
Yeah.
go somewhere and there might be a picture of a bear, and it's like, why are these bears always in my life? Probably because your totem's a bear and you're connected and it's talking to you, you know? And your totems can be insects as well. It could be a honeybee, you know?
Yeah, can it even be a certain kind of plant
Um,
or tree?
yeah, you could be a tree person, yeah.
Yeah.
Could be that. Stand strong like a tree. I'm always telling people that. Stand strong like a tree.
That's really cool.
Yeah, let it move through. Sorry.
No, no,
Go
no, no. I wanted to ask you about the role of music in the ancient culture because there's definitely a unique sound from your culture of music that you
Oh,
can't
yeah,
really compare to anybody else. They have totally different instruments. On one hand, I would say that especially something like the didgeridoo, it's so simplistic in its design, but the way that it's played is so complex. And I only know this as a musician because I've tried to learn how to play it and I understand the principles of how you're supposed to be able to do it and the physics and everything, but I just can't play it. It's a really, really difficult instrument to play well, but it's just a long piece of wood with the hole cut in the middle of it. And another instrument that is a good example of the simplicity of how music can still be effective without needing electronics or all these holes drilled in it is two pieces of wood just smack
clapsticks.
together, and as long as they're the right, and you had them on one of the shows on KBS.
Yep,
uh, to me
yeah.
that's fascinating, so I wanted to get you to speak on like the role of music in the society. Is it only used for spirituality or ceremonies, or is it also used for like just like entertainment, or it is
Yeah,
the
party it up.
concept of
Yeah, we
entertainment?
party up big time, don't worry. Yeah, it's used for partying, it's used for ceremony, it's used for personal stuff. It's used for everything. I really wish sometimes I was a bloke and I could play the didge, but I'm not. And the funniest thing happened the other day. I was talking to a fella on the phone and he's asking me about I want to learn to play the didge, and I'm trying to explain how to do it, and I'm a woman, and I just kept laughing. But it comes down to practice, Polly. Um, when it comes to the didge, I watched my brothers teaching.
Okay, practice in the sense that it takes practice on how to explain how to play it, or because that
Uh,
takes practice too
practice,
for me.
practice on actually doing it. Practice on actually doing it. Now I
Yeah,
need to practice on how to explain to do it.
it's a completely different way of playing an instrument. And
Yeah.
if anybody out there is a musician who's tried to play the didgeridoo, like good on you if you can do it, but I dare you to play the didgeridoo and drums and guitar at the same time. Because there's a guy in Australia who can do that at will, and it
Yeah,
blew
I
my
know.
mind when I found him today.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
Have you
incredible.
ever heard of his name? His nickname is Fingers, and his name is Mitchell Cullen.
No, I don't know. I don't know by name. Probably by
Uh,
face. A lot of our mob, we don't really care what your name is. It's what your face is and who you are. So we can know people for ages, and they go, "What's his name?" I don't know. I've fucking just known him for months.
I'm the same way with names. I'm horrible with names.
Yeah, and we'll often give them a nickname because that's how we know them.
You have a
That's how I
nickname?
got
Yeah,
Luna.
yeah, exactly. uh, we're getting okay. You know what? Let's just keep going because there's more stuff I want to ask you about, and
Oh
that
yeah,
is,
I wanted. Sorry to cut you off, Polly, but there was something real important about the music. You were talking about. We were talking about hertz the other day.
yeah.
And I'm not much of a musician because I just play two sticks of wood.
Oh, you're a good writer, though. I've read your
Yeah,
lyrics. They're pretty
but
damn good.
I don't know how you detect hertz. If somebody could detect the hertz on clapsticks in a didge, I reckon 99% that they're hitting some really good healing hertz numbers.
Well,
Um,
yeah, you know what? That sort of ties into something else I heard. I think it was Brian in the Discord who said something along the lines of you can't just like go out and buy a didgeridoo. It's like a magic wand almost. It picks
yeah,
you because it matches your lung capacity, your resonance, your frequency. Otherwise,
yeah,
someone who is the wrong size and wrong lung capacity and the wrong
yeah,
lip size, wrong cranium size, it's not going to sound the same. It's going to be like the difference between 432 and 440.
yeah. Yes, well, the ideal thing is for someone to gift you a dish, someone that knows you or it's made for you,
Hint,
is
hint,
the
Luna.
ideal one. Yeah.
Hint. I
Other
don't
than
have
that,
one.
you don't have one.
No, I
Oh,
don't.
you have to talk to Donny about that. That's a man's thing. That's Donny's
If
area.
anybody out there wants to gift me a didgeridoo, I won't let you down. It might take months, but I won't let you down.
We'll work on it. But the music, the rhythm, the rhythmical motion of the didge and the clapsticks is what does it, and it invokes energy. Here in Australia, when there's didges going, you'll all find the black women. It draws us like a magic flute. Hey,
Are there many wind instruments in Australia? I haven't really seen very many.
no, traditionally it's the didge.
And
Um,
percussion.
yeah, we had a drum. Some mobs do have a drum up top. It was more like a log kind of drum.
Is that like
Um,
the hand drum?
no, it would be like a log on the ground covered with
Okay.
probably kangaroo screen, and hit on the ground. It's not a common thing though. Only a couple of mobs had them, and they were up top to us is Queensland Way, up top of Australia. That's the pointy section.
That that actually reminds me. I heard an interesting. I don't know if this is true or not. Maybe you can tell me if it is. But the first actual drum were actually hollow rocks that are found in the outback of Australia. The rocks
Uh,
are hollow.
well, I haven't heard that, but that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, they're really big. You can't move them. You just walk up to them and hit them,
Right. Yeah,
and they ring forever.
we got a lot of weird big rock formations, so that wouldn't surprise me at all. It's probably a Giants music kit.
Oh yeah,
Because
you
we had
said
them, remember?
giants.
Yeah,
You s-
Giants.
you said
Yeah.
giants. Okay, you have, I think, what are similar to what we have up in Thunder Bay in Ontario. We have a rock formation that's called the Sleeping Giant, and if you look
Ooh,
at it, it's like a profile of a guy lying down with his
yeah.
yeah. So could
Yeah.
you tell us about the Giants a little bit more, like and maybe even give us an idea of where we can look to see images of these?
Well, as far as mountains and giants go, we're the same as everywhere else. We have mountains that are formed like giants. Some are laying down, some are standing up, some are just faces. Um, they're a lot of our stuff isn't like you can just look it up and there it is, because it might be known in one area but it's not known in others. But we have them. I can try and get some together and put them up for people. They're like sentinels to us. It's like they're still alive. They're just sleeping. And I wonder one day if they're going to wake up and we're going to have a big earthquake.
Yeah, right. They're not going to be very happy, and they're going to be hungry too, probably.
But it's like they're alive still, but in a different zone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I do know what you mean. Like that, it's almost the same way that a tree would view time compared to an ant.
Yeah. Like yesterday, I was out the back. I had this tiny, tiny little black beetle on my hand, and I said good day to it. And then I realised, man, from that poor little beetle's point of view, I must move and sound really different to what I think I am. Like, it must be a whole totally different view to that poor little beetle. And it's just on my hand, so it'd be like being on a mountain or the back of a giant rock.
Yeah, I tried to explain it to I think it was my son. It may have been one of my younger sisters, but the whole concept of time perception and sleeping giants. And I was like, you know, when you
Yeah,
wake up from like a long slumber and you've got that like crusty bit on your eye, like the
yeah,
sleep where the Sandman's been, and it's
yeah.
like sometimes you can't open your eye because it's so bad. Well, if a giant goes to sleep, they get a whole mountain stuck on top of them.
Yeah.
And that's what they have to deal with when they wake up, and it's just as annoying, probably.
And this brings us back to dreaming, because if they're asleep dreaming, when we go to sleep and dream, we're all together. We can access them. They'll just look different. They won't look like the mountain sleeping anymore. They'll probably have a body.
Yeah.
Um,
And then when you're dreaming, they can alter their size so they're not as frightening.
yeah, yep, that's right. I don't know about anyone else, but I've had heaps of dreams where I've actually been a tiny little, tiny, tiny person. I've had
I've
dreams
had
where I've been a big person too, but
I've had a
tiny
lot
world.
of strange dreams about like being small, being large. I've had dreams
Yep,
where I've jumped and then I didn't come down. I just kept going up.
yep,
I've
yep,
had, yeah, very vivid too. The
yep.
dream
It's a
dream
world.
world is a very weird place that I'm still working with it. Uh, can I ask, are there any crystals in Australia that you would use to sort of aid with dream work?
With dreaming,
Yeah.
let's see. That's not really my area.
Well, because in Western culture, especially the New Age community, there's tons of crystals that apparently have
Dreaming, yeah. Um, yeah, you'll remember that we only got a rock if it was pushed up on the earth, so it wasn't like we all had them.
right.
Nowadays, you just go and get them. It's a different story.
It,
Um,
is there anything that you guys do that sort of accentuates your dream state? Like if you want to go to dream with a purpose, is there anything that you can take or do or music that you can listen to or anything?
yeah, well, that's where, yeah, we have songs. Our music and songs do that. They bring on the state. Um, so there are things for that. Yes, I don't want to go into detail, Polly.
No worries, no worries. That's all I gotta say.
That goes back to the music and that rhythmic thing. What you can use it for. It like opens the doorway.
Yeah.
And the herbs and everything. They all play part to what you do. And that's for any tribal culture. Though. We're all the same. Our things are just a little different because we're stuck out way out in one side of the world, all by ourselves lonesome. So our things are similar, like the rest of the world. The thing with the dreaming, though, it's more deep rooted for us because we have things what we call creator being, and those creator beings actually dream things into existence. So
That almost sounds like us.
yeah, kind of. Hey, and
Well,
we've
I
been
mean, if we just wake up, then people would realize that we're the same as that. We
we
dream
created
things into
things.
existence for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And these fellas were at the beginning of time before the trees and all that were there, so they were the first ones. Um, and that's something I'd like to talk about is our responsibilities on manifestation. So every human has the ability to manifest, but not every human has the ability to have the responsibility of their manifestation, and they don't even know they're manifesting half the time. Because Jake, you can go, oh yeah, I'm just going to get a boat off and go up the river, and then a few days later you'll get a boat and go, wow, how did I manifest that? And the truth is that it's happening all the time. And it's our responsibility of what we think and feel that we need to look at in the present day, so we don't manifest stupid things like what we're looking at in the world right now. They're all our manifestations of stupid things. Even, them games, my hubby's going to hate me for saying this, and all the gamers are too, World of Warcraft and that. You know how you're fighting monsters and demons? Well, in reality, on a level, when you go to bed and that, you're actually manifesting them. That's why we got so many bad spirits running around, and the spirit world is in upheaval. Same as the physical plane, all the things that we manifested through games, shooting each other and all that. Well, they're manifested, everybody. We're living in. We need to quickly stop everything, start again, and say, all right, brain, all right, emotions, what kind of world do we really want? One full of music and where there's food growing everywhere and everybody's in harmony. We've got to manifest that real quick. And the way we do it is each individual do it on their own level, because in each individual on our own level have created what we're looking at right now. Does that make sense to you?
It totally does, and I would add to that in the sense that even though it's on the individual's responsibility, it doesn't mean that the individual is responsible for the manifestation, because it takes all of us
Mm-hmm.
or enough of us, I guess you could say, to make the manifestation actually happen, not just one, not just two. So Yeah, that's what I think is a lot of the problem is they blurred that line. Because a lot of people say that, that thoughts become things. I manifest my own reality, but it's not just your reality. We're living here with like tons of other people, so we need to all get on the same page and manifest the same thing. I agree with you 100%. That's one of the most probably oldest messages ever in the history of humanity. If that's anything that we're supposed to take from all the religions, I'd say that's probably like in the top three.
Yeah, because we do. I taught all my children how not to be greedy by saying you live in this world with thousands of other people. Don't be so selfish. If I spill water and you're standing next to me, you're going to get wet. So that's my responsibility. So
Yeah.
I've got to, and if we can all do that right now, and believe me, the energy's ramped up right now. Everything's happened on a fast level. So we can, overnight, we can pull this thing backwards just by being responsible for our thoughts and feelings starting from now.
What do you think about the idea of maybe certain people being able to guide people into thinking about the same things or the same ideas and those kind of principles? Do you think that we need people like that, or do you think that it should be, solely on the person themselves without any influence?
Um, well, we could put out the sign and they can read it. What's that saying? You can lead a man to a thought, but you can't make him think.
Right.
But yeah, we can leave out the sign, they can read it. How can I put it? It's not what I see, though. What I see are those that are capable of being like that. They're actually, if they weren't aware of it, they were becoming aware. And then there's like chemically lobotomized people, and I'm wondering what's going on there because you tap on them and they're empty. And I'm thinking, oh, Creator, please help this person. That they need to start living because they're like dead inside. How to wake them up, I don't know, and I don't think we got the time, Polly. Things are moving really fast.
You're right about that. You're right about that. Uh, it's an interesting moral dilemma for people, I guess, like us and the people in the chat. Um, you got to be able to recognize whether or not there's the person that you're trying to help or trying to awake or whatever is even capable of it. And a lot of times, if it's somebody you really care about, it could be a very hard decision to give up and just accept them for what their beliefs are and just try to be there for if they ever do wake up or have a dream or something that snaps them out of it or makes them care enough to want to join our team, I guess.
Because you don't want to force feed them. That's cruel.
Exactly, right, because that would
So,
be hypocritical.
but like everyone listening here, and a lot of people that everybody knows, we got a lot of strong-minded people, and that's what it comes down to. I think if you got a strong mind, you know what the go is.
I think
Um,
that's the one of the probably the most important thing that I think is in the KBS community is the fact that we're all like-minded, and if we disagree, we can just disagree. But a lot of times, I learn more from disagreeing with somebody than I do from agreeing with them. So there's that.
Oh, very true. I tell people, learn from what you don't like, not what from you actually like. All the things that you like are really good, but if you really want to learn something, look at why you don't like things.
Wise words. Yeah,
And if
you
you
could
really,
you could tell you're an old soul. Yeah.
if you really want to know someone, look at them when they're angry.
Yeah, or when they're hurt.
Yeah, and that'll tell you everything about them in those moments.
Do you see auras? Because I got an impression that you have a general more of an advantage on reading people, even if it's not in person.
Yeah, yeah, I get lots of information, Polly. Sometimes it's embarrassing because I'll be talking to someone or I'll be looking at someone and see things. It's like, oh my God, I didn't really need to know that. um, I tend not to force it. Yeah, I can see them. I don't go around going, oh, I'm looking at your aura, I'm looking at your aura, because it's a private thing, your energy and your stuff is private. So if a person can see You don't tend to look unless Crowder goes, look, there's something that you need to see, and it stands out like dog's balls.
Yeah. Okay, that's an interesting perspective. I don't feel bad trying to find plants auras and stuff like that, but I never thought of it. Like, if I'm trying to look at a person's aura and they're like, "What the hell are you staring at?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm just trying to see your aura." Uh, I'm not even thinking that that's like an invasion of any kind of privacy at all. I've never even thought. So I
No,
won't do
no.
that again either.
Well, that's what I've noticed too, Polly. There's a lot of things people people don't know about energies where they're actually not doing the right thing and they're pushing their energy on other people. You need permission. Like, permission is a big thing. If that person says, "Can you help me? Can you look?" then you're allowed to look. And then you
Yeah.
can have a poke around. But if they don't give you permission, you tend not to look. It's like seeing them naked. So you tend not to look unless you have a really strong message that says, look at that person, they need help, they're sick, and you'll see in their energy where they're sick in the body and what's going on, and you feel compelled to go over and go, "Hey, how are you? Are you okay?" And then you start talking to them, and then you find out they have got something. That happens, but that's like only when you got permission from the boss. Otherwise, you need permission from that person.
Yeah, but isn't that some sort of like infringement on God-given free will or
Yeah,
creator-given? Yeah, okay,
yeah.
I can understand that.
And that goes with all gifted people. If you're whatever you do, see, hear, whatever, you unless you're instructed and you have permission, you can't just go around looking and put your energy on people. Even if you're a healer, you have to have permission off that person to heal them, unless it's remote healing, and then you're instructed by the boss, creator. The boss is creator, by the way. Otherwise, you have to have permission from that person, because even though your intention is to heal and you're giving healing energy, if you haven't got permission, it'll arc up with that person, and if something not good could happen, you know. The first one is resistance, and that's the last thing you need with healing. It should be a nice flowing thing like water. So I think the world's going to move into that. The next thing is awareness of our energies and how we actually impose people with our energies, not knowing. Like, it's right up until now, it's okay, because when you don't know something and you do it, you're forgiven. And once you've taught it and you do it again, that's when you get into trouble. So most people don't know these things, so we're all forgiven. But it happens all the time. I see it all the time, people pushing their energies on other people, and it's like, man, you shouldn't be doing that. It's so disrespectful. But I realise people haven't been taught that, and now it's time people need to know these things.
I agree, because what you just said there made me think that there's possibly a percentage of people out there that are doing what you're saying, like forcing their energy on people, but they're doing it from such a harmless, good place, and they don't realize they're doing it.
Yeah.
Whereas there are people as well that do it for the obvious reasons, but
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah. So, and I will admit to being one of those people in the smaller majority that have probably done so without my thinking that it had any negative impact. So I personally like to thank you for that perspective. I'm definitely going to be a lot more careful how I wouldn't say I'm gifted, but I do pick up on things, and I sometimes tell people things that they maybe shouldn't hear
That is a
based on what I
gift.
picked up. So yeah,
We're all Creator gave us all them gifts, Polly. It's the awareness of, like I said, how we use them, how they come to us, like, and how much of it is knocked out of us through society. But Creator gave it to all of us. And I urge people, that's why I say, let your spirit walk you home, because, that part of us that's got it when we haven't, that's your spirit. And it knows better than our conscious mind, because our conscious mind has been invaded by this world. It's not pure like it used to be. But the deep inner you, knows better. Listen to that. That's your spirit. Let it walk you home.
I can't really think of a better one-liner to end that. let your spirit walk you home, people. This has been like one of the most. This has been the deepest conversation I've had with anybody in a really long time. Um,
Oh,
I've had a
gee,
super amazing time. Is there anything else that you want to tell anybody in the chat or in a future listener, because it's going to get reposted at some point? Anybody that you want to shout out, or any sort of websites or anything like that that people might find interesting, or just general, give us a last piece of advice and then we'll sign off here.
Well, as far as websites and go and all that, I actually encourage people go inside yourself, because that's where all the ancient knowledge is. It's inside you. We look outside. Outside is more for validation. I watched this video, it said this, it validated what I already knew. Basically, that is, there comes to a point where you don't need validation anymore. You just got, your shit, just get up and start using it. Use your gift. We're all gifted. Use it. Find it. Use it. And I'm not very technologically advanced. I can't even send a website. What else? I'm being urged to tell you, stay in your centre, and the centre of you. To find the centre of you, you go deep inside. It's like, just below your heart, the centre of your body. It's around your solar plexus. That's where your spirit lives. If you actually reside there, you'll feel it straight away, and you'll notice that you are actually centered, and we all need to stay centered. If you need help to stay centered, just contact me and we'll yarn about it more. I'll tell you how to stay centered. I'll tell you when you're getting knocked out of center, and I'll tell you when people are trying to pull you out of center, because people do that. Because when you're in center, that's your powerful you. That's, no one can move you out when you're there unless you let them. And that's not always our fault, because society does that to us. So stay in your centre, stay loving. If you're having trouble being loving, just smile long enough to feel it. Hi to everyone in the chat room. I'd be talking to you, but I'm talking to Polly. It's hard to write and talk at the same time. I don't know, stay wise, stay full of love, stay kind. Yeah. Just keep talking, otherwise, Polly, I'll just keep talking.
Awesome. Okay, I just have to throw a few thank yous out there. First of all, I want to thank Kevin Baker for allowing us to do this here on his Discord.
Yeah.
I also want to thank Wookie. I also want to thank ZX for all the backdoor stuff that he does, and I don't mean that in a bad way, so get your minds out of the gutter. And that being said, this is another episode of KBS Open Mic. Stellar episode. Thank you, Luna, so much for coming on, and I hope you had fun. And I would love to have you back.
Oh, look, I'll come back. Yeah.
All right, PPP people.
Yeah.
Over and out.
See ya. Bye.